right. Chance. Yeah. I just made a post on Facebook, told everybody on Facebook to come to YouTube, and for YouTube today, I'm streaming from my phone. I normally do it from my laptop, but my laptop just won't hold the signal, so I'm just like, you know what? Yes, I set up today. Yeah.
I'm not gonna run down this shower.
Okay.
Get myself together. Yeah.
Okay. You bring the kids back.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'll see you when you get back. All right, love you. Drive safe. All right. Top of the day, beautiful people. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Still trying to get together over here. All right, so we are broadcasting live from our new place. All right, y'all. So YouTube should not act up today. Levon, blessings, because I'm streaming from my phone. So we should be good. There shouldn't be any kind of glitches. The picture should be good, everything. But as for YouTube, I left them a post. I was just telling my son I left a post for YouTube a post for Facebook. Tell them to jump over to YouTube with the link. I was too tired to get my connection set up last night. Spectrum, send you everything so you can set it up yourself. So I got to go through read instructions and all that, and I was just too tired. I'm operating off a few hours of sleep. I went to bed at like literally 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock this morning. I was like, you know what, I think I'm oversleep. So I just drank a whole bottle of water just in case I didn't hear the alarm. Blessed be the most. All right, beautiful people. All right. Happy Saturday. For reading through the books of the law and the prophets, another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1166. Today we're picking up where we left off at in Oahspe on page 252, which is the book of Divinity. Okay. All right. Hold on, y'all. Okay, we back. All right, y'all. So, did a little intro. Father, we thank you for another day. We thank you that we are broadcasting live from our new place, and it don't stop. Everywhere we go, we searching for truth. All right, y'all. Chapter 13 at the bottom of the page. I think I got an eyelash in my eye. Okay. Chapter 13, page 252. The title of the chapter at the top, it says, Jehovah prepares the way for the birth of Abram, Poe, Brahma, and Iwata. Because I thought it might be morning. That's why I answered. Like, okay, so she know I'm live. First thing in the morning, she normally be up here. Why would she call unless it's an emergency? That's why I answered. Girl, didn't she babysit? Babysitting is a good enough job that she did this summer since we live, and you put a comment up here. All right. Chapter 13, 252 at the bottom. In the 180th year preceding the dawn of Dan, that is to say, 2,920 years after Fragapati and Zarathustra, Jehovah sent swift messengers with 6,000 Ethiopian Lewis from the Nirvanian fields of Chigatha in Ethiopia. Y'all remember what the Lewis are? Loo''is. They are the masters of generations. Alicia, y'all. We only start at 8 if I post a message because I'm running late. 7:30 on the weekends. 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. And on the weekends, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Unless it's a Sabbath. Then we take that day off, whether it's the week or the weekend. The Lewis are the masters of generations, meaning they're the ones who are there with you at your birth, record it, and they follow you. They are to record the circumstances around the mother's birth while she's giving birth, the state that the parents are in, the state that the parents are in, and everything, the whole full picture. And they also prophesy what the child will be and what he will do. Watch them grow all the way up, and then they're with them when they have their child or children, and they do that for 6 generations. I think it said 6 generations. So they're called masters of generations, Lewis. Okay. Verse 2. And the swift messengers brought these words with them to wit, greeting to thee, God of the red star in her heavens, in the name of Jehovah. By the love and wisdom of Sinta Armaj, Nirvanian goddess of Heosati, we speak in the Father's name. Peace and joy be unto thee, O God, and to thy sub-gods and lords, and lord gods and goddesses. 180 years of darkness will now come upon thy kingdoms. And then the darkness will go away, and dawn will be in the place thereof. And in the time of darkness, behold, the nations of the earth will go down in great darkness. But the light of the Father's presence will not be destroyed. A little seed shall endure amongst mortals, that seed may be propitious to the labor of thy goddess, who will come in that day. She sendeth herewith 2,000 Ethiopian Lewis for Vendu, 2,000 for Japheth, and 2,000 for Arabinia. And thy goddess decreeth that thou shalt appoint unto these Lewis one of thy gods, high raised, and he shall go with them, and his labor shall be with them. And the business of this, thy God, and of these, my Lewis, shall be to raise up heirs and followers, who shall be grown to maturity when I come. For through these that they raise up, will I deliver to the fathers chosen out of the afflictions that will be upon them in that day. To this, God replied, in the name of Jehovah, greeting and love unto Simta Armaj, goddess of Heosati. I receive thy Lewis with joy, and I appoint unto them excuse me. And I appoint unto them my favorite God, Yima, God of 1,000 years' tuition, namesake of Yima, son of Ivanhoe, the sweet singer. So the swift messengers, with due ceremonies, left the 6,000 Ethiopian Lewis and then departed. And God sent messengers to Yima, commanding him to come to Moru at once, deputing his assistant God to take his place and to retain it unto dawn. So Yima appeared presently before the throne of God, and the latter instructed him in all that had been commanded from on high. And Yima sent word to his former kingdom for 1,000 of his attendants, and they came also. Meanwhile, Yima conferred with the Lewis, who explained to him all that they required. And after him, there's reference to number 8 that says at the bottom, explain to him what all that they required. Hey, son. Okay. And after this, they provided a P Mazar. Yes.
All I like to say, I mean, you probably already know the vibes. We come down here. If y'all couldn't tell, we got the house, bruh.
Okay.
Yo, This is crazy.
Back up. Okay. And after this, they provided a Piedmazar and descended to the earth to Japheth and Vendu and Arabinia. And Yima, stationed in his Piedmazar, midway betwixt the three countries, in the first plateau above the clouds, and called the place Horeb, in honor of the first heavenly kingdom on the earth. And when he had founded his place and named it, he sent word to God, Jehovah's Son, who gave him 500 messengers, mostly college students, and God gave them to return Hine currents, Highness, Heine, currents like currents of the ocean, Hine currents. And God gave to them to return Hine currents so the Etherians could be supplied with a regimen of their own order. Yima made the watches 24 hours, changing at dawn of sunrise every morning, half on and half off. And he called in all Ashars from the regions of mortals where he designed labor. And when they had assembled in Horeb, he thus addressed them, saying, Behold, it is yet 180 years to the dawn of Dan. Mom, shalom, shalom. In that time, Simtosh, goddess of Hyosati, situated in the Nirvanian fields of Chingatha, and will come the Father's name. Darkness will be in heaven and earth, especially in these regions. And it shall come to pass that the mongrels, the worshippers of Ahura Mazda, will triumph in these lands. They will build great cities and kingdoms, and they will rule over the Ehuans to great injury. But the Drooks, and in parentheses, after Drooks, the Aborigines. But the Drooks, the Aborigines, will be reduced to everlasting life, like even in mortality. And just in case you didn't know what Aborigines were, that's simply the people who are native to that particular land, right? So those who are native to the Americas are Aborigines of America. Those who are native to Africa are Aborigines of Africa, right? And so on and so forth. Okay. I read, no, I ain't gonna read that. That's a real long verse. Okay, verse 12. But these mongrels will be great savages, nevertheless, and there will be cannibals all over these three great lands. And they that are slain in battle will be cut up and put in vessels with salt, and their flesh will be thus preserved for food. Verse 13. Because the Ehuans, the Zarathustrians, will not war, they will enslave the mongrels, save such as escape to the forest. And betwixt celibacy and torments, Zarathustrians will have. Verse 14. But that their seed may be preserved and delivered out of bondage, ye shall raise up on, they shall be rescued from their enemies. Behold, here are present Etherian Lewis, who go with you throughout these lands, and survey the people, and provide also for such great light as shall lead the people. After Yima thus instructed the Ashars in a general way, he handed them over to the Lewis, who divided them into companies of thousands, and each and every Lewis one company of Ashars. And when this was completed, they departed out of Horeb, going to their several places. And in 11 days thereafter, behold, Aji began to fall on heaven and earth. Remember, that's that darkness, Aji. The belt of Meteoris, gave up its stones, and showers of them rained down on earth, and the sun became as a red ball of fire, and remained so 166 years. And the peoples of Arabinia and Vendu and Japheth fell from holiness. The Zarathustrians gave up celibacy by hundreds of thousands and married and begat children in great numbers, many women giving birth to 20, and some even to 25 children. And some men were the fathers of 70 children, and not a few even of 100. That's what they gave it up. They really gave it up, didn't they? And Zarathustra, even the faithists, with the mark of circumcision, went and married with the mongrels, and they with the Droogs, so that the foundation of caste were broken up. So great was the power of Aji that even the Ehines oft broke their vows and lived clandestinely with the world's people, begetting offspring in great numbers, not eligible to enter their sacred cities. And yet mortals saw not the Aji, saw their cities and temples, as it were, sinking in the ground, but they sank not. It was the Aji falling and condensing. Jehovah has said, what I give that groweth the corpore, inspireth man to corpore. What I give that groweth the S, inspireth man to S. Remember, S is spirit. And in the days of Aji, neither angels nor men can enthuse mortals with spiritual things. Only they that are organically grown in spirit can withstand. Chapter 14, page 254. Jehovah said, when Aji cometh near a dawn of Dan, let my Lewis be swift in duty, far seeing in the races of men. I not only break up the old foundations of temples and cities in those days, but the foundations of the abuse of the cast men was upon the races of men. Today I say, preserve ye the case of men. Marry or have no case, for the races are become impoverished in blood. Marry here, marry there, and I give Aji, and their desires break all bounds, and I raise them up against giants and strong limbed. But in those days my Lewis shall fly swiftly, and with great power, that his seed may be preserved unto me and my kingdoms. I came not for one race alone, but unto all men, as by my spirit created I them all alive, so is my hand over them to all eternity. And when the shower of Aji over is gone, I send my high raised gods and goddesses to gather together my flocks, and to proclaim unto them anew my wisdom and power. And those that have been selected and preserved by my Lewis are the foundations of my new order. O horror, take advantage of the age of darkness to sow disbelief in Jehovah broadcast over the earth and heaven, and to gather in his harvest for the glory of his own kingdom. And when war and murder and lust were thus reigning on the earth, Ahura decreed to his lords, and they again to his ashars, and they again to mortals, that all that was required of any man or woman was not celibacy, nor carrying the alms bowl, nor any sacrifice whatsoever, but by saying prayers to Ahura Mazda and to his lords, and to wish them hither with praise, was all sufficient, that on the third day after death it would ascend and dwell in Ahura's paradise. Nevertheless, such was not truth, nor Ahura's emissaries court the newborn spirits and made slaves of them, commanding them to gather regimen and substance for the glory of Ahura's heavenly kingdoms. In the 40th year before dawn, the voice of the Father came to God, saying, Moru is becoming uninhabitable. Horati shall be moved into the earth. Zeredho shall be no more. So one of the bastards you got to find. Go check. Go not to Ahura with this prophecy. He hath the kingdoms, and thy upraised sons and daughters shall be preserved through the darkness. They shall become my brides and bridegrooms. I will prepare a place for them in great glory. Call together the diva, and I will speak before them, and my voice shall be proclaimed throughout all these heavens, save in the heavens of Ahura, where my voice shall not be proclaimed. So God called the diva, and they came and sat and come up above Horati. Behold, I have broken up Metoris. I have fashioned a new plateau in the firmament above, whereon are all things plentiful for heavenly kingdoms. Come hither with thy lords and gods, and with thy come hither with thy Lord gods, and with thy lords and gods, I will show thee. And when thou hast seen, thou shalt possess the place and begin its inhabitation, taking thither thy host of thousands of millions. When the light ceased speaking, it took wing and rose upward, and Div and Diva rose also and followed after, and thus Jehovah led them to the plateau. Hence it was called Preyoshivi, signifying the light hath chosen. And God and his sub-gods possessed the place and laid the foundation for habitation. And after that, he and his lords and gods returned and counseled on the matter of removal. And at this time, there were 4,000 million faithists belonging to God's kingdom, most wise and upright, full of purity and good works. But God and his lords and lord gods had not sufficient power to remove so many angels, especially as many of them as were below grade 50, and hence inclined downward more than upward. And after inclined, it has reference number 9, and at the bottom it says gravitated. All right, so let's see. But God and his lords and lord gods had not sufficient power to remove so many angels, especially as many of them as were not yet below grade 50, and hence gravitated downward more than upward. So after due counsel, God decreed to build an avalanche capable of 200,000 and to begin with the highest grades. And God foresaw of his own wisdom that he should render unto Vishnu and his lorddom an all sufficient force to protect the mortals of Venu and Japheth and Arabenia, which were soon to be flooded by the host of Horror down on the. Accordingly, he sent for Vishnu, and when Vishnu was before the throne of God, the latter told him all the words Jehovah had said in regards to Ahura and his kingdoms to be precipitated to the earth, and told him about the new plateau, Kreyoshivi, whither the light had conducted them. Let me read the whole sentence again. Accordingly, he sent for Vishnu, and when Vishnu was before the throne of God, the latter told him all the words Jehovah had said in regards to Ahura and his kingdoms to be precipitated to the earth, and told him about the new plateau, Kreyoshivi, whither the light had conducted them. And he further commanded Vishnu to return again to his own place, Maitreya, and survey the dominions and establish what force he should require in order to protect the mortals of those 3 divisions of the earth. Vishnu replied, as to the latter part of thy commandment, O God, I have already accomplished, for I have feared these things might come to pass, and I provided accordingly. The number I require of and above grade 80 will be 600 million, for I must have at least one angel, and thou shalt have 800 million. Whereupon Vishnu took leave and returned to his own place, Maitreya. God immediately sent forth sectors with power, and they went into all the colleges and factories and other places of Jehovah's kingdoms and selected out the 800 million angels required by Vishnu, and God sent them to Maitreya as soon as possible. Of the 600 million angels taken to Maitreya, who had been subjects unto sub-gods, besides 100 million that had strayed off, becoming wanderers and druhas, Vishnu found 30 million above grade 50, and these he appropriated at once. Shalom, Francis. And these he appropriated at once to work in concert with the sub-gods in building schools, colleges, factories, and all such required places for the elevation of man. When he had thus established order, he called together the sub-gods and said unto them, think not that I am about to leave you. I am not about to leave you. But ye are not mine to keep, nor are ye hosts of mine. Ye asked for them in the first place, and Jehovah gave them to you. I have restored order. The time is now come when one of you must be chief captain over all the rest, and he shall apportion you according to his highest light. Choose ye therefore your captain, and I will give him a judgment seat and badge of that's a great. Prayed Jehovah for offspring that he answered their prayer. I'm sorry, let me start it over. Verse 18, page 255, y'all. Vishnu said, a certain man and woman married, and they prayed. It's spinning? Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. Might have dead spots until I get the Wi-Fi hooked up today. I'm gonna just keep going, right? If I see the numbers dwindling down, I'll know it's too bad and y'all can't hear me. But the time's still rolling, so I'm gonna keep going. All right. Vishnu said, a certain man and woman married, and they prayed Jehovah for offspring, and he answered their prayer, and they had many children. And now, when they beheld their responsibility to the children, they said unto the Great Spirit, we pray thee, give the responsibility to some other persons. What ye think of them? Now, that was a good analogy to use for them that was trying to skirt their responsibility. All you want is subjects and people to rule over. Now, we're giving you just that, right? Choose from among you the best one with the highest wisdom, and you be the captain over all of them, and you need to bring them up to your level. Listen, verse 18. Vishnu said, I'm going to read this again. A certain man and woman married, and they prayed Jehovah for offspring, and he answered their prayer. And they had many children. And now, when they beheld their responsibility to the children, they said unto the Great Spirit, we pray thee, give the responsibility to some other person. What think ye of them? We think very little of them. Like, how you have all these kids and don't want to take care of them now, my G? Like, that ain't what we do here. Audrey, shalom, shalom. Okay. What think ye of them? Now I say unto you, Jehovah heard their first prayer, but not the second. Like, I am not listening to you, but Jeffrey is still talking. I am not listening to you. We're on page 255, verse 18, still chapter 14. Vishnu said, I'm going to read this again, I'm going to keep going. Vishnu said, a certain man and woman married, and they prayed Jehovah for offspring, and he answered their prayer, and they had many children. And now, when they beheld the responsibility to the children, they said unto the Great Spirit, we pray thee, give the responsibility to some other person. What think ye of them? Now I say unto you, Jehovah heard their first prayer, but not the second. If I serve Jehovah, how then shall I answer your prayers to appoint another person in your stead? It is a wise man that rusheth not into leadership and responsibility, but he is a good man indeed, who hath gotten in, saith, hold on. Oh, okay. But he is a good man indeed, who have gotten in, saith, now I will go ahead in Jehovah's wisdom and power with all my might. The gods who are above us, come to such a man and help him. Go ye then once more into council and appoint a chief captain. Hardly had Vishnu said this when the sub-gods perceived what was meant by the higher light, and the whole 60 held up their hands, saying, I will serve thee, O Jehovah. Give me whatsoever thou wilt. With that, Vishnu commanded them to appoint one with the highest grade. This they did, and it fell upon Subga. And accordingly, Subga was made captain in chief of Maitreya with rank 60 on the first list. So Vishnu created a judgment seat for Subga and gave him a badge of office. And the other sub-gods were made captains of divisions and numbered according to their assignment, and none of them were humiliated before their former subjects, but became trainers and disciplinarians in new fields of labor. And their former subjects were no longer called subjects, but hosts, and they were liberated in all things, save with no liberty to return to mortals. Okay, we just got to figure something out, son. Use a shirt or something. Yeah, because yeah. Oh, go look at what I use for a pillow. Go look at what I use for a pillow. because I couldn't find my pillows. Okay. Verse 22. Hardly had Vishnu these matters settled when the host, 800 million, came as the guard and shields of mortals. These Vishnu organized, making Maitreya the central throne over them, and he divided them into companies of 1 million and gave to each company one marshal and 1,000 messengers. And the marshals again subdivided their host into thousands and numbered them, and to each thousand he gave one master with his quota of messengers. Next, Vishnu divided the three great countries, Vindu, Japheth, and Erebinia, into as many parts and cities and towns. I'm sorry, I skipped the whole line. Let me just start it over. Next, Vishnu divided the three great countries, Vindu, Japheth, and Erebinia, into as many parts as he has appointed marshals, and the lands were mapped out, cities and towns and country places, and each marshal was assigned his place. And there was made a record of these things with the maps and divisions and the names of the marshals and masters, and it was registered in the libraries of heaven. So Vishnu's hosts were sent to their places and commanded to give daily reports of their labors, which were to be carried by the messengers to Vishnu. Oh, yeah, 33 minutes. 8:11. Okay, chapter 15. We might finish this, y'all. We still got a half hour. We might finish this. Okay, chapter 15. In Moru, God and his messengers were using all their strength and wisdom to provide for the removal of his host in Oahspe. The demand for builders, surveyors, and carriers with powers was so great that God determined to send trumpeters through the kingdoms of Ahura the false, asking for volunteers. For this purpose, he sent 12 Oahspe in different directions, some even going through the city of Cetus, Ahura's capital, and they proclaimed aloud what they wanted. And it came to pass that in less than 1 year, the Oahspe gathered out of Ahura's kingdoms 7 million angels capable of grades 70, who were able to fill the places required. This was the most damaging blow to all Ahura's kingdoms, for he thus lost the wisest and most powerful of his people. And this news went like fire before the wind. His sub-gods began to revolt against him, claiming their own kingdoms. Many of them openly preached in their heavenly places against him, accusing him of falsehood and of being a mere pretender with little power. Nevertheless, he had great power in the name Ahura Mazda, for he was believed in heaven to be the same God, even Ahura Mazda, that inspired Zarathustra, which we know he was not. And mortals also, living and dying in this belief, could not be convinced otherwise. Hey, babe.
Good morning.
Morning.
No, so.
Towels.
Sheesh, man.
Yeah.
I need a pillow.
I know. I told him, I said, go look and see what I use for a pillow.
Oh, my neck hurts.
The big towel, we took one of our big thick towels and rolled it up. I don't know what we did with the pillows. I really don't. We just want to buy some more. All right.
Okay, so.
And when there's, hold on.
Toys everywhere.
Everywhere.
You bought them brand new toys, man.
You know, all of them think they got to get something when a birthday child gets something.
Man, you got those.
And Belle, I think, got the biggest thing. She got a whole, I mean, I could have said no. But, you know, why not? You get a gift, and you get a gift, and you get a gift. Brand new gifts because we're moving to the new house.
She got 2 gifts, though, man. You can't do that. No.
No.
She got that. Okay.
No, this is just the Barbie camper with all the little accessories and stuff. Yeah, so. And I was just too tired last night to argue with her in the store. I'm just like, y'all pick something and let's go. All right. Okay, soon as I'm done. All right. And then we're going to pick up your truck, right? Yeah, okay. Okay. Immortals also, living and dying in this belief, could not be convinced otherwise. And when their spirits left their mortal bodies, Ahura's angels took them to the heavenly city of Cetus, where they beheld its glory, shining and magnificent. And when they took them in sight of Ahura's throne, but not near it, they were obliged to crawl on their bellies a long distance, even for this purpose. And the throne was kept radiant with perpetual fire. Then they were made to recrawl their way back up again until out of the city. After that it was said unto them, Behold, we have shown thee Ahura Mazda's heavenly city and the glory of his throne. Excuse me, himself thou canst not behold till thou hast performed the service which is required of all souls entering heaven. Nor canst thou come again to this city, most brilliant, majestic, till thou hast served under thy lords and masters thy allotted time. Oh, what a way to keep them busy for a whole, well, we know the last group that they was there 1,000 years doing all this before they figured out that something is wrong, right? The jig is up, right? All 1,000 years they regretted serving him, Ahura Mazda the false, right? Yeah, what a way to change the game a little bit in your favor, right? Okay, next time make them crawl on their bellies up here. Let them behold my radiant throne that I done built up here, my G, right? Okay, so when they crawl up here, don't let them come in. Just let them look and behold with their eyes so they can see the fiery brilliance. Then make them crawl on their bellies again and have them go back, right? Oahspe College University, slavery in heaven, right? This is exactly what be happening. Well, at least from my knowledge. And the only way I can verify this is from not really just through the words that I'm reading in this book, just kind of verifies some of my spiritual happenings and experiences that I know, the words in this book, from my personal experience, I can't verify everything because I haven't experienced everything, but there are certain things that I know that are definitely on the money. Some of my crazy supernatural experiences and stuff, I was like, that's the truth. I'm telling you, that's the truth. Because I remember this, and I know that wasn't a dream. That was an out-of-body experience, right? So, yeah, slavery in heaven, right? So he getting them while they're mortals, and if you serve him ignorantly or even knowingly, you're going to see his kingdom, then he's going to put you to slavery until all y'all is delivered. And we don't know how long that's going to be, right? You just got time now. Whatever they call your time when you there in their slavery. Okay. Hold on. Behold, we have shown thee Ahura Mazda's heavenly city and the glory of his throne. Himself thou canst not behold till thou hast performed the service which is required of all souls entering heaven. Nor canst thou come again to this city, most brilliant, majestic, till thou hast served under thy lords and masters thy allotted time. After that thou shalt come here and dwell in peace and rest in happiness forever. And these spirits knew not otherwise, nor would they believe if told, and they thus willingly made slaves of themselves hundreds of years, carrying provender or doing drudgery to certain masters who were again serving the lords and the sons, wiser than the wisest gods. Created his creations with a door on every side, full of glory and freedom. Remember, everything the great spirit or our great creator does tended to life, right? Life and freedom. Anything other than that, you might want to check your sources. Out of the earth and atmosphere conjoined, he created animal and vegetable kingdoms. He created the trees of the earth and the flesh of animals out of these two things, the dust of the earth and the air of heaven. Let me read that again. I was like reading too fast or too slow or something. Okay. I'm going to read the whole verse 6 again. But Jehovah provided for all things, wiser than the wisest gods. He created his creations with a door on every side, full of glory and freedom. Out of earth and atmosphere conjoined, he created animal and vegetable kingdoms. He created the trees of the earth and the flesh of animals. Out of these two things, the dust of the earth and the air of heaven. With this possibility created he them, that in death their corporal elements should go to their respective places where they belong. With this possibility created he them, that in death their corporal elements should go to their respective places where they belong. Right. Flesh goes back to the dirt and the spirit returns back to the S, right? Or to the spiritual realm, right? It's kind of like what it's saying in Genesis a little bit. I'm gonna say it alludes to it. It alludes to it, but I figured it out by doing other research, and people always asking the question, well, who was us in the beginning? So by me doing that research and study on us, on who it was in the beginning, we come to realize after going through like the Apocrypha and different books and just sitting thinking about it and reading, just meditating on, I'm like, who is freaking us? Right? And through that whole conversation and learning period, where I realized that the like you hear some, well, you may not have, some people say that the earth is our mother, and the spirit comes from the Father, right? So the two join, right? So I can't really argue with the earth as our mother, because the flesh was taken from the substances of the earth, which is why the flesh is nourished by the substances that the earth produces, like plant-based foods, the herbs heal the body, all of that stuff. So I really can't argue with that, because technically that is true. But people that's super spiritual and no, God is my mother and father, man, get out. Ain't nobody talking to you. Get on out of here. We don't talk to people like you no more. Because you just do too much. You get what we saying, but you just want to be. You woke up with violence in your heart today. We not, right? Okay. I'll read the whole verse again, then we'll keep going. But Jehovah provided for all things, wiser than the wisest gods. He created his creations with a door on every side, full of glory and freedom. Out of earth and atmosphere conjoined, he created animal and vegetable kingdoms. He created the trees of the earth and the flesh of animals. Out of these two things, the dust of the earth and the air of heaven, or the nehash. I think it's nehash, or the breath, the spirit, right? The S. With this possibility created he them, that in death their corporal elements should go to their respective places where they belong. But this possibility created the Creator, that in the death of a vegetable and in the death of an animal, when the atmospherian part flieth upward, that it should carry with it a small possible part of the dust of the earth, and it thus doeth his bidding. Ooh, wait a minute. Yo, I just thought about something. Okay, I gotta highlight this. So I gotta be able to find that real quick. Okay, I thought about the sacrifices again, right? I thought about the sacrifices, and I thought about what we learned through here when it talks about the druges and the drooks and the fetals and familiars, how when they're doing sacrifices and that sweet smelling aroma that flieth up, it's the S part of what is killed, or the spirit of what is killed, whether it's animal or the plant kingdom. Let me just read this again. Okay, I got to finish thinking this thought out, but it just, I still got to meditate on a little bit more. With this possibility, hold on. And he created the trees of the earth and the flesh of animals out of these two things. So trees and animal kingdom, right? The plant kingdom and the animal kingdom, right? Both has flesh, components of the earth, and also components of S, the spirit. Things like life and plants, all that stuff, just make sure you're following along. Listen, I'm going to read the whole verse 6 over again and we're going to keep going. But Jehovah provideth for all things, wiser than the wisest gods. He created his creations with a door on every side, full of glory and freedom. Out of the earth and atmosphere conjoined, he created animal and vegetable kingdoms, and he created the trees of the earth and the flesh of animals out of these two things, the dust of the earth and the air of heaven. With this possibility created he them that in death their corporal elements, the animal and the plant kingdom. With this possibility created he them that in death their corporal elements should go to their respective places where they belong. But this possibility created the Creator that in the death of a vegetable and in the death of an animal, when the atmospherian part flieth upward, that spirit portion, that life, that breath, when the atmospherian part flieth upward, that it should carry with it a small possible part of the dust of the earth, and it thus doeth his bidding. With this possibility created he his creations, that the earth giveth away of its substance into atmosphere hundreds of years, and the fields become barren and produce not, and certain animals become barren and produce not, and their races go out of existence. He that createth man subject to the same, and he created man subject to the same forces. And when the earth is in the giving off period, behold, man ceaseth to desire of the earth. He crieth out to his Father in heaven for the light of heaven. With this possibility created the Creator the earth and the heavens above the earth, a time for the earth to give off its substance, the which flieth upward hundreds of years, and a time for the earth to receive them from atmosphere, surcharge from the regions far away, in addition, an addition of substance for hundreds of years. Let me read it over. Verse 9. With this possibility created the Creator the earth and the heavens above the earth, a time for the earth to give off its substance, the which flieth upward hundreds of years, and a time for the earth to receive from atmosphere, surcharge from the regions far away, an addition of substance for hundreds of years. And when it is thus receiving, it is the time of Oahspe, because that which falleth condenseth is Oahspe. When Oahspe come upon the earth, the Druhas come also. The days of the darkness of earth and their delight. The days of the darkness of earth are their delight. Their harvest is in the rich falling Oahspe. It suiteth their laziness and their inclination to bask about. They become in those days like an overfed animal, and to their masters, the false gods, they become worthless, for they derive their sustenance without labor. Oahspe is their delight, but they are also like a foolish man drinking wine with delight, who continueth till his delight turneth to madness. So the Druhas feast and disobey their masters, and then they become boisterous and unruly, full of disorder and evil intent, believing themselves to be gods and goddesses, like a beggar with a pocket full of money who lacketh discipline and determined to glut his passions to the fill. So it is with the Druhas in the time of Oahspe. Thus Ahura counted without Jehovah. In his heart he had conceived great power in his kingdom, but the long Oahspe upon his heavenly places seriously. In his heart he had conceived great power in his kingdom, but the long Oahspe told upon his heavenly places seriously. His sub gods no longer paid him tribute to support in ease and glory his 5,000,000 heralds, his 5,000,000 musicians, his 5,000,000 ceremonious paraders, giving and providing for them constantly new costumes and new palaces and new decorations. So first, one and then another of his sub-gods revolted, and Ahura was powerless to enforce obedience, for so dense was Aji that whomsoever Ahura sent forth only reveled in sumptuous feastings. And it came to pass that in years after Aji set in, over 600 of Ahura's sub-gods had dissolved all connections with him, and of the 200 yet remaining, who were situated close about Cetus, Ahura's heavenly place, not 10 of them could be relied upon in emergency. At this time, Ahura resolved upon regaining his lost dominions, and it was like a man having lost heavily at the games, resolving to win all or lose all. Accordingly, Ahura set his workmen to build parade ships, 50,000. He said unto his remaining sub-gods, Behold, I will traverse the heavens in such magnificence and glory that all angels and mortals shall fall down and worship me. And surely, too, this time of Aji must come to an end, and in that day I will remember those.
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the connection. Please try again in a moment.
And surely, too, this time of Aji must come to an end, and in that day I remember those that have been faithful unto me. I will also remember with a curse those who have been unfaithful to me. Lindsay, shalom, shalom. Yes, I'm so happy, Lindsay. Oh, shucks, all of them was up late. I think I was the last one to go to sleep at like 4 or something. And Josiah, my coffee buddy. But I don't drink coffee no more. He was up, but everybody else was knocked out. Verse 14, for 14 years the workmen were building Ahura's fleet, and yet they had built but 30,000 ships. For so great was the desertion of his skilled men that failure met him on all sides. But with these 30,000 ships, Ahura determined to travel throughout all the atmospheric heavens. Accordingly, he called together his heralds, 5 million, his musicians, 5 million, his masters of ceremonies, 5 million, his masters of rites, 5 million, his marshals, 10 million, his captains, 20 million, his generals, 3 million, and his lords, 1 million, and of his sub-gods, 150 with their attendants, 20 million, his bearers of trophies, 10 million, his light makers, 10 million, his waterers, 10 million, his torch bearers, 5 million, his bodyguard, 30 million. Besides these, there were the bearers of banners, the proclaimers, the road makers, the surveyors, the directors, and so on, more than 50 million. And yet the traveling host, 100 million. Hold on. And yet the traveling host, 100 million, and waiters for them, 100 million. In all, there were upward of 400 million spirits that went within the 30,000 ships, and the ships were not full. And the ships traveled in the form of a pyramid, but not touching one another, and yet fastened together. And the base of the pyramid was 400 miles wide every way, and 400 miles high. And the belt of light around about the pyramid was about 1,000 miles in diameter every way, and it was ballasted to run within 50 miles of the earth's surface. Thus set out Ahura for a whole year's cruise in atmosphere, and wherever he went, he proclaimed himself thus, Ahura Mazda, the Creator, the only begotten Son of the Unknowable. Behold, I come, I, the Creator. I have come to judge heaven and earth. Whoever is for me, I will raise up to nirvana. Whoever is against me, I will cast into hell. The pyramid reflected light in its travel, and Ahura's emissaries on earth used this as a testimony that all things were about to come to an end. The earth be cast out, and heaven and hell to be filled up with spirits, each to its place according to its obedience or disobedience to Ahura Mazda. On the other hand, revolted sub-gods laughed at him. And as for the overfed and debauched Druhas, they mocked at him. So it came to pass that when Ahura visited his revolted sub-gods in their kingdoms, instead of regaining their allegiance, he was sent on his way with hisses and groans. And yet never since the earth and her heavens had there been such great show and pageantry. Before Ahura had visited half the kingdoms in Atmosphera, he foresaw the futility of his project. The probable downfall of his own mighty kingdoms began to break in. Let me read it again. Before Ahura had visited half the kingdoms in the Atmosphera, he foresaw the futility of his project. The probable downfall of his own mighty kingdoms began to break in on his heart. Enthusiasm for his name was on the wane, and all his magnificence had failed to restore him to what he had been. I bet now you thinking about this conversation that you had with your brethren before you decide to go ahead and walk off. No, my G, you go ahead. We good over here. I'm going to go ahead and build this kingdom. You know, he said, listen, bro, it ain't even got to be this way. You know what? I'm willing to step down from my place and let you go higher than me so that you can at least stay in the path of the Creator. He said, no, we good over here. We good on that. We're going to go ahead and do our thing. I bet all this is running through his head now. He said, bro, well, you really don't want to go this route because in so many years, your whole kingdom is going to rise up against you and you're going to be cast down, bro. He said, we'll see. So I think I learned enough since I've been here in the school of light to keep this thing floating.
What's the crate at?
With the iron?
No.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah.
You know how long I was looking for that iron last night? I found it in a crate by the water heater.
Crate with our shoes and stuff in it that I had.
At the top of the stairs, babe.
Oh, that's what that crate was?
Yes. Okay. Okay, verse 21. And y'all, we're going to have to end it after this chapter. It's 30 verses. And we at 21. Okay. Yeah, we at literally the hour mark in about 30 seconds. Okay. Verse 21 on page 257 in the book of Divinity in the Oahspe. Now, whilst he was absent from Cetus,
Where you going today? Where you going? I thought you was going to work. You gonna grab the car when?
I said, you pick up Saturday and I'll come to work Sunday.
No.
we about to take this truck back and we'll get your dad's truck.
Well, you stay here then. Stay and watch your boys. Me and your mama. That's fine. You dressed up for stay here. Stay here.
Boy, you been how many years without a car? Now you trying to rush us to go pick your car up. You be all right. Yeah, you could have went to work, son. The car ain't going nowhere. It's still gonna be sitting in the same place when we go up there and pick it up. He know we coming. Sheesh. Okay. Verse 21. Why I tell you, teenagers, like it's absolutely necessary that it happens now or the war ends. So he's learning some patience. I told him, I said, keep playing with me. I'm gonna get you a sticker and post it on the back of the car. I said, new driver. I said, don't. I'll do it. That's kind of embarrassing, but pull it off if you want to. Confiscating the keys to your pretty little, Charger. Okay. Now, whilst he was absent from Cetus, the capital of his kingdom, he had deputed Fraviawaga. Fraviatiwaga. Okay. Reign in his stead and to maintain the order and glory of his throne. Fraviatiwaga was a deserter from God's Hayin colony in Horati, where he had been educated 200 years and was expert in primary surveys and buildings, but impatient for advancement beyond his capacity. Wow. But impatient for advancement beyond his capacity. And, he had now been with Ahura 300 years, learning little, but feasting and frolicking being a great flatterer of Ahura and given to long speeches and flowery words. While Tiwaga was on the throne, and after the departure of Ahura on his excursion, there came. Well, now you're going to work. You might as well wait for Elijah, and then if you ride with Elijah, you're gonna have to wait till I get back. You had a game plan.
That was very simple and not time consuming.
First of all, who run the show here, son? How you make a game plan involving your father and I, putting us on your time schedule?
Do you prefer efficiency?
What?
Do you prefer efficiency?
Yes, we prefer efficiency according to our rule. Bruh, listen, you are a Asaph in this house. Look, there are many levels above you, of which your father and I are.
But look, this is the thing though. Let's say, right? Okay.
Jeremiah, I'm
Dad
almost.
go get his work, right? Dad go to work, right? You go to work. You come back, look for the kid, and we go. As soon as y'all get that out of the way, me and you go.
Right, but the grandbabies are coming. And Elijah's going to work too. So right, you didn't even consider all of that. And John is here. You think everybody gonna fit in my truck? Elijah has my Suburban. I'm not leaving little Jonathan in charge of my children. We rarely leave you in charge of our children. Bye. Look, let me finish this, son. We'll have this conversation in a minute. Listen. Verse 22. Whilst Tiwaga was on the throne, and after the departure of Ahura on his excursion, there came to him one Utgowski, a deserter from Hestiani and Zeredho, who had been in Ahura's service 150 years, but banished from his heavenly place by Ahura on the account of gluttony and drunkenness, since which time he had been a wandering spirit, dwelling sometimes in one kingdom and then in another, and oft visiting the earth and gaining access to the oracles, even to mortal priests, where he presented himself sometimes as Ahura Mazda, sometimes as God, sometimes a favorite lord, sometimes Fragapati and Thor and Osiris, and in fact, any name he chose, issuing decrees and commandments to mortals, then flying away to return no more. Bruh, let me tell y'all, that's why I tell you can't listen to tarot readers and crystal ball readers, and I'm telling you, you need to check out where they got the information from. Utgowski came to Tiwaga, and he said unto him, "Greeting to thee, O God, in the name of Ahura Mazda." Now you come acting like you straight and you ain't got split personalities. "Greeting to thee, O God, in the name of Ahura Mazda. Behold, I am sent to thee." We can't take you seriously. "Behold, I am sent to thee in great haste by our Creator, Ahura, who commandeth thy presence in providence of Vitsag, where is holding a mighty council with Ahura's re-affiliated sub-gods. What preferment Ahura Mazda hath fashioned for thee, I know not." To this, Tiwaga answered as followeth to wit, "Who art thou, and from what kingdom? And above all, why art thou come without heralds and attendants?" To this, Guwaski answered, saying, "Behold me, knowest thou not me? I am Haran, god of Sutu Yotha. Who else would come so quickly? Who else but I runneth fiercely unattended betwixt the kingdoms of the gods?" And apparently you'd have read a few books, you know some history, so now you just chose the right name to serve your purpose here. Tiwaga had been drunk many days, and was so dazed with the pretentious Utgowski that he took for granted that he was indeed Haran, a great friend to Ahura. Tiwaga called his council together and appointed Sims to be God in his stead. And so Tiwaga departed in an aeroship with messengers for feedstock, which lies in an entirely different direction where Uhura was traveling. Sims, the deputized god of Cetus, was faithful to his office for 4 days and then proclaimed, what? Let me keep reading. Sims, the deputized god. Oh yeah, it definitely seemed like that. He said these planes, they hold on, y'all. See, I'm looking at it on the phone. And it's extra small. So these comments I can't see. Live chat. Okay. These planes they use to travel around are as big as a continent. Yeah, clearly they like 400 miles wide and like 1,000 miles wide in diameter and all that. Yeah. Okay. They absolutely are. Okay. Okay, verse 26. Sims, the deputized god of Cetus, was faithful to his office for 4 days and then proclaimed recreation until the trumpet call from the throne. And in this interval, the debauchee Utgalski obtained access to the floor of the inner chamber and seduced Sims to accompany him, carrying off all the costly gems and jewels of the throne. And when without the capital, they embarked with their plunder in an aeroship to some unknown region. For many days, the members of the council waited for the trumpet call, but not hearing it, resolved to learn the cause. And after diligent search, not finding Sims, but discovering that the throne had been plundered of its valuables, they were thrown into great confusion. And 2 days after this, the throne was destroyed, the council divided and gone, and the heavenly city of Cetus turned to riot and plunder. And there were in Cetus and near about upward of 4,000 million angels, with no God, nor leader, nor any head whatsoever. Thus it came to pass that Jehovah took the throne from Uhura, as had been prophesied. And whilst this was going on, Uhura was away with his pyramid fleet, being discomfited wherever he went. But in 212 days after his departure on his journey, messengers came to him and told him what happened in Cetus. And this is the last verse. Uhura gave orders to sail at once for his capital, which was done, and his pyramid fleet hastened with all possible power. Suffice it, in a few days he was back in Cetus, a witness to the rioting and plundering going on. But the majesty and splendor of his fleet quieted the people and restored order for the time being. Nevertheless, he was without a throne and without a council. And that, my beautiful people, is the end of our reading for today. So we definitely gonna finish this up tomorrow, reading the last 3 chapters. Then we're starting book of Spenta. Yeah, it be throwing me off. It's CPENTA. Normally, if I would write, I'd be like SP. So Spenta, but so I'm gonna just say it Spenta. What? Book of Spenta, Armage, daughter of Jehovah. Okay. So with that being said.
Just imagine a vegetarian because most of your family eats meat, and when you're hungry,
You gotta figure it out, son. Now you see what my plight was when I just went plant-based on everything. You just gotta figure it out. You gotta get creative with the fruits and vegetables. What?
You know what motivation?
What?
Hitting that age 100 and looking like that woman that's 70 years old, look like she around 50. Oh.
Sis look like she 40, late 39s at the most. Okay. All right. Y'all, it is Saturday. Happy Saturday. July the 2nd, 2022. Day 148 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count. Day 1166. And we read in Oahspe, book of Divinity, pages 252 to 258. And so we'll finish the rest of it tomorrow. Beautiful people, I love y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out. We got a new moon coming up. No, we've already had the new moon. I meant to say the
Real
Sabbath.
quick, don't you?
The Sabbath changes. I need to double check a couple of things that oh shoot, I forgot to double check. So I need to verify my kicking.
I think I just said it.
Oh yeah, you can say you did that. So I just need to verify before I tell y'all which day it is. But I think we jump. I ain't gonna say it yet. Don't even quote me. I don't want to mess nobody up. I'll let y'all know tomorrow. All right. With that being said, beautiful people, may the Most Holy, the Great Spirit, Yahuwah, bless you all. Enjoy your weekend. I see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.
All right, I need a headscarf.
Okay. I check.
You check your herbs. What was you looking for your herbs for? Did you have a headscarf?
No, that was I didn't end yet. That was the things, the scrunchy thingies to tie your hair up.
But you don't know what I got.
Your do rag I pulled out.
Where?
I set it right on top of your pants that I bought up there. Okay. All right, y'all. Yeah, you should be all right, babe. Okay. All right, beautiful people. I'm scrolling through the comments real quick to make sure. Jen, Grand Rising, yes, at home with new background. Cause when I live stream from my phone, I can't see the comments and who came in. So I'm just make sure I ain't miss too many people. I know some people didn't say anything, but Lavon, Alicia, yeah. Great Spirit Jehovah, peace and blessings, glory and praise, oh great Spirit Jehovah, for all faithers. Amen. All right. Also called DNA Angels, Oahspe College University said, I forget what part we was reading where that would make sense to me right now. Jen, Mom. Oh, Jen, you came in before my mom did. And I remember saying, speaking to my mom, I'm sorry, I was not ignoring you. I did not see the comments. Auntie, Belinda Brown, shalom, shalom. Yeah, see, I'm missing everybody. I saw Francis when he came in. I saw Audrey when she came in. Shayla, hey, girl, hey. Lindsay, I saw when you came in, you made a comment. Okay. All right, beautiful people, that's it. All right, go ahead and get out of here. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.